I remember days when I would get home from work and I just wanted to throw my hands up and say, "This is not for me. I have no clue what I'm doing. I'm failing at everything I'm doing." And then some days I come home and say, "Wow, I really knocked it out of the park today." So it took a really long time for there to be any middle road there. I always felt like I was winning or losing and nothing in between.
Welcome to the Builder Straight Talk podcast with your host, Michael Creasa. Get the unfiltered truth from the trenches of construction, real estate, and funding. This episode is made possible by our parent company, Sound Capital, funding built for builders.
Well, hey there, friend. Michael Creasa here with Builder Straight Talk. And in this week's episode, I had the pleasure of having a conversation with Beth Noska, and she is with Clark Custom Homes. Now, she had no experience whatsoever when she first put her little tippy toe on a construction site. She didn't even know that was something she wanted to do. It was a job. She took it and had to go through the cat calls and the initiation and all that kind of stuff that a female on a construction site would have to endure. And now she's a general manager with Clark Custom Homes. So she's going to share her journey, what she had to go through. And this may be a bit of an eye-opener for you, big burly construction types, that yes, women can do the job. They can do it equally as good, maybe sometimes better than men, because they've got this ability to see the inner beauty of a home, if you will, the design, the layout from a different perspective than your typical hairy brute like us, for example. So give it a listen. I think you'll really enjoy it. And speaking of enjoy, please comment, like, subscribe to the podcast. It's the only way we can get through all the clutter, all the noise for other people to discover what we're doing here at Builder Straight Talk. So pretty please subscribe, like, and share. And without further ado, let's check out what Beth Noska has to say. Well, Beth, I'm excited to have you on the call today. I don't want to say it's not too often that I have a woman who is in construction, and I'm finding more and more. So I'm excited about this part of it, your journey. And speaking of journey, why don't we start way back before you became a builder? What were you doing before, and what the heck motivated you to pick up a hammer and get into this trade?
I had a friend years back that was a project manager for a construction company, and she said, "Come work with me." And I didn't know what I was agreeing to, but I said, "I'm in." And this is where I ended up.
Hold on. So that's like two kids on a bridge. One says, "You jump first, I'll follow." I'm going to ask that question again. Why construction? If a friend said, "Hey, I'm dealing cocaine. Do you want to come over and work with me?" Like, was there already a motivation in place to do this?
There was no motivation at all. She was just dealing with some struggles with the male project manager she was working with and said, "I need another girl in here with me." And I said, "Let's do it."
So this was her company then at the time, or
No, it wasn't,
what's?
but she was a 1099 contractor for a company. So she was a kind of self-employed project manager for them.
So you step on to the construction site. Are you actually doing construction, or are you in the office? What was your function at the time?
So I stepped right in doing full project management with her. So we were out in the field all day, every day. We did mainly remodeling and re-roofing at that point. So we did a lot of insurance claims. And so that's where I got started is fire, flood, and storm damage insurance claims.
Was it tough at the beginning? I want to get into, I don't know if it's a myth or if it's common. Did you feel like you were intimidated? Did the guys give you a hard time? How long before you felt like you were part of the family? Tell me about that.
It was tough. And it probably took me close to a year before I really earned any trust from the subcontractors. So it took a long time. I would ask them to do something and they would still go up the chain and check and make sure I knew what I was talking about. So it did take a long time. Once I did feel comfortable knowing what I was doing, it got easier and it's gotten easier ever since.
There's something you said, and I think people take it for granted. And you said you had to earn their trust.
Yes.
And I think all too often we think that we deserve trust, and that doesn't happen. In Michael's world, trust is like a bank account. If you don't put anything into it, there's nothing for you to withdraw. So that being said, were there things that you did or any one thing that you did that was the aha, they started to respect you?
You do have to earn people's respect. Some people get it by demanding it, some people get it by earning it. I think in construction, You do have to earn it, and I just kept showing up every day. I just kept showing up, and they knew I was working as hard as they were, and when I asked them to do something, I would also make sure I understood what I was asking of them too, So I had a lot of on the job training with our subcontractors, and I would just say, "Hey, I know we need to do this. Can you show me how it's gonna get done? Can you show me what you need? I will get everything here you need. I'll sit out here with you all day long. Just help me learn." At some point in time, it's just kinda they know that I'm in it with them, so they're gonna they I just earn their respect.
Did you feel at the beginning it was kinda like walking through fire? Like, was there an intimidation that they were almost trying to force you out to see what you were made of?
Absolutely, absolutely, and that took a lot of, I remember days when I would get home from work and I just wanted to throw my hands up and say, "This is not for me. I have no clue what I'm doing." Like, I'm failing at everything I'm doing. And then some days I come home and say, "Wow, I really knocked it out of the park today." So it took a really long time for there to be any middle road there. I always felt like I was winning or losing and nothing in between.
I think, I don't wanna say they're picking on you because of a woman, that's like the big elephant in the room. But let me put it in a different perspective. If, like, a 105-pound guy were to walk into the construction site, and they would razz him the same way, because that's what men do, right? It's you earn the respect, that we talked about that, but you earn it by being able to take a joke, by being able to give it back, and guys test one another. So instead of duking it out, they like to poke and see what you're made of. Can you take it? And as a guy, like, if I were to crumble and go into the corner and cry, then I'd be done, right? Completely done. And I would never get that respect back. I think one of the things that women have to appreciate, they're stepping into a workforce, and I hate this stereotype, but it's a male dominated field. Well, what do you push back on me a little bit? What do you think about this idea when women say, well, it's a male dominated field?
I think that, you walk through the fire and you try to come out, right, not smelling like smoke. They do test you on the job. So I think the difference between being a man and a woman, women are probably picked on a little bit more. I can dish it out just as much as they can. I can also take it just as much as they can. So they probably test men a little bit more than they do women, to be honest. But I think it's easier being a woman. We're able to ask more questions, I think, and they're more willing to show us. So I'm not going to go and demand their respect. I have to earn it. I have to show up every day and I have to remember what they need and what I've learned. So I think that in a lot of ways, it's easier being a woman.
You get to play the girly card, which I can't do unless I'm wearing panties or bra, and that wouldn't go well on a construction site. But I'm going to go back to this respect thing, that when somebody demands it, yeah, you can demand it, but I don't think you can keep it.
You can't.
Right? It's like you're stealing something, and eventually you're gonna get caught, and I think this idea of demanding respect, but from your perspective, let's play that girly card for a second. You're willing to ask questions, right? And I think at the beginning you're a novelty, and they're gonna pick on you because it's a girl on the site. And I'm gonna caution this by saying I don't think there's any malice behind it, right? I don't think there's any, sexual abuse or anything like that. It's just the nature of men, and you're on a job site, right? But as you said, and we keep going back to this respect thing, once you've earned that and they see that you're here to stay, I would think that from a girl's perspective, guys are now going to go out of their way to help you. And more importantly, I think they're going to protect you. Is
Oh,
that
they
fair to
do.
say?
They do. And I think sometimes now they forget that I'm not just one of the guys because the things that come out of their mouth is no different than if I was there or not. And that's how I want it. I can give it right back to them. So, no, I think to your point, there is a little bit of they kind of hold back at first. They want to be more respectful, but I'm like, y'all, I'm just like anybody else out here. Let's just have fun and get this done. So, one of the crazy things is sometimes I have maybe gone to Home Depot with one of the guys and they kind of just check out and they kind of just go out and load their car up and I'm going, why do you load your car up? I mean, they'll do it for you." And they're like, "They will?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And so I said, "All you have to do is ask." So you're at the checkout and you say, "Hey, can someone help me load the car?" Well, it's not because you're a girl, it's just because you asked. And I think sometimes the guys forget to just ask, and I'll ask questions all day long and I'll tell them, "This may be the dumbest question you've ever heard, but I need to know why you do it this way or how we're gonna fix this." And they're usually right there to explain it to me.
No, I do interviews for a living. I got a book of dumb questions that I haven't asked yet,
Uh-huh.
so don't worry about that one. But I think to your point, when they pull up the Home Depot, I think most guys wanna do it themselves because we're used to doing it ourselves, right? Unless it's something gnarly heavy that I can't pick up, then obviously, right? What do
Yes.
you think was aside from this, I don't wanna beat the horse to death here, but one more question. As you felt more comfortable, did the scope of your job then increase, the amount of responsibilities that you took on as you felt more comfortable with it?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So at first, I found myself relying on my subs a lot of the time to do it correctly or to do it the way they've always done it, and I was there to learn. Now I've, had the opportunity to see how 10 different subs do it 10 different ways. So I think that they are actually more willing to listen to me because I am a woman, explain to them, and it's not just because I'm a guy saying, "Do it this way because this is how I want it done." I can tell them, "Let's try it this way. I've seen it done like this in the past, and these are the problems it's gonna cause, but these are the solutions it's gonna resolve." So they're more willing to listen.
Cool. So the company you started with, are you still with it now?
No, I'm not. Now I work for Clark Custom Homes, and we do all custom homes build on your lot.
So what was before the obvious question is what was it that motivated you to go to another company? Along your journey, was there a mentor that
Well,
took you by the hand?
so my dear friend that I've known for close to 30 years now, she really did mentor me when I went to the company where she worked before. That company went out of business because they decided to. They just decided to close it down. And so her and I went into business ourselves for a little bit, and we had two gals construction and we did really well. We had a few challenges, like personally her husband had gotten very sick and had to quit his job, and so it kinda changed what we had to do for financial reasons, and so when we kinda closed that down, I had been following another home builder that I work for now on Facebook, and I just called him and said, "I wanna work for you." So he hired me, thank goodness.
That must have been quite the interview. I want to work for you. Okay, come on over. Good.
Well, he actually put a post on Facebook that he needed it's kind of a joke now that he needed someone in the office, and I called him and said, I'm answering your post, but I can't work in an office. Like, I would not be good at that. I need to be out in the field. Is there a chance you need a project manager?" And so he said, "Yeah." And so I went over to run his remodel division at first, and then a couple of things changed. He lost a couple of people on his custom home building side, and I said, "Yeah, I can do that too." So I kinda moved over in that position, and now I'm the general manager.
Wow. So how did it make you feel when he hired you almost on the spot?
Well, it was scary, so I think that in construction, no matter what you're doing, sometimes when you say you know how to do something, the only thing you don't know is what you don't know. So I can say I can do things, but until I really get into it, I don't know for sure. And if I have a fault at saying I can do things that, I don't know for sure I can do.
It's a good attitude to have. There's an English comedian. His name is John Cleese. I don't know if you've heard of him, Monty Python. He says to be really good at a sport or anything, you have to have an appreciation of what it is that makes it good. Like, what are the skills involved that would make a good hockey player versus a bad hockey player? He said the same applies when it comes to being stupid. Some people lack the appreciation of what it takes to be stupid because they're too stupid to realize how stupid they are.
Yes.
And again, I'm not trying to imply that to you by any means, but the fact that you realize I don't know what I don't know, which will get you into a lot of trouble on a construction site if you're not willing to admit that I don't know and I need help.
It sure will. And it has. It has gotten me into a lot of trouble. So I say
I
it
was
all
gonna
the
say,
time,
yeah,
the
let's
only
let's unpack
reason.
that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I tell my people all the time, the only reason I don't know that won't work is because I have tried it and it didn't work. It's trial and error, right? And so the more times that you mess something up, I think the better it is you get at it. So I just keep trying. And I've always done that. I've always, if I don't know something, I will find out. And I I just keep trying until I get it right.
Well, you open up that door, let's go through it. What was one of those big uh-oh that you did that you've learned from now?
Well, that's a tough one because I have screwed up so many times, so many times. Usually I've, done stuff completely out of order. I mean, it keeps me up at night, on sheetrock day, just trying to make sure I've got all the MEPs done, because you do that one time and you never want to do it again. You do something too soon and it costs a lot of money to go back and fix it. So the biggest one, I'd have to think about that because there has been a lot.
And Cody still has you working there.
Well, actually, I mean, thank goodness that I made all of those mistakes, you know, pre-Cody. So most of what I've learned were at other people's expense.
So if he wants to take out the competition, he's gonna send you to work there
That would
part-time
be a
and then bring you
really
back?
good move on his part. Yes,
All
really good
right.
move.
And for people listening, Cody Clark is the gentleman that you're well, I'll say gentleman, you know better than I do, but that's who you're working with right now,
Yes,
Clark.
yes, yes, and he's awesome. We have a lot of fun.
Well, we interviewed him a couple weeks back. I guess he'll be on, before you. People will be aware of who he is. And you guys do amazing work, like on the custom end. And I'm excited to see that you're growing now, like metamorphosis into more complicated things. That you're going to go from custom and you're looking at spec, which is exciting. And it's like you guys are at that evolution now where you're ready to take it to the next level. What's that feel like for you?
So we have always done custom homes and we do very custom homes. So we're always working with a different set of plans. We've never built the same home twice. So I am excited about that. Honestly, sounds a little bit boring to me to build spec homes, to build a house more than once, but it would be fun to see how much better you could get at that house every time. So, we've been looking at some modern plans, and I'm excited about that. Most of what we do is kinda your modern farmhouse, but we're looking at some real modern stuff, so I'm excited about that.
So when you fit barn, is that what they call barn dominiums?
We
Is that
don't do
the
a whole lot.
concept?
So, barn dominiums are, something that we get a lot of requests for, but people can mean a whole lot of different things when they want a barn dominium. Generally, we think of more of a square or rectangle house that has got metal framing, metal roof, metal siding, but it's kind of evolved into people when they say barn dominium, I really try to dig in and make sure I understand what they want. Maybe they just want a metal roof. Maybe they've got a big span of open space that they just need a metal beam in. Metal's gotten crazy expensive, so we try to build out of as much wood as we can, and there's so many different options where we can save people money. So, we have a lot of people coming to us wanting a barn dominium, but they really just want a metal roof or they really just want metal siding. So we can do anything, but most of the time when we do anything metal, it's more of a hybrid model. It's got metal framing with the interior framed out in wood.
So what's the price point typically of what you're doing?
We can build anywhere from probably $200 a square foot and up. Most of our clients land at about the 220 to 250 range, and that all depends on interior finishes. Countertops, cabinetry, flooring is a big price point, a big one that can change some of the pricing. So I would say we normally build anywhere from about 2 to 250 a square foot.
Is there any one particular project that you were working on that at the beginning you thought, okay, this looks good, but it just turned into a bag of octopuses? Like it just became so complicated, overruns, or have they all been home runs?
No, I mean, we definitely have some that are not home runs. Most of the time when they're not a home run, It's because we didn't have a clear understanding of what the customer wanted. It's just expectations were not met by us or by them, either way, and it can go both ways. So when we start with a client, we have about a 30-minute to an hour session with them. We call a question and answer session. So we have a list of questions that we go over, and it's a lot like what you would do if you were meeting with an architect for the first time or a designer. So we can do all that in-house. Some people come to us with plans and designers, already done. But we do have a question and answer session with them so we can understand I want their Pinterest board. I want them to share with me their vision so that I can know what they want and make that happen. Because the worst thing to me is not meeting the client's expectations. And so I want to meet theirs. And it just makes it easier if we have that all laid out up front. So, day one, I mean, before I even do an estimate for somebody, I pretty much know what doors they want, what windows, what color is their roof. Do they want siding or brick? Is it painted? Is it stone? And so those kind of questions just help me see the picture. What I love about Clark Custom Homes is most builders, you can drive through a town or a neighborhood and pick out their houses. You can't pick out our houses. Ours are all as unique as our clients are. So I really try to make sure I get their vision. I think that's one of the areas that being a woman is a little bit easier because I can pay attention to that detail that they want.
Is there any one particular home that you guys have done that has really stood out? The showpiece that has really made you excited? Like every time you drive by it, you go, yeah, we built that one.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We have one not too far from us, and the home is very traditional, and I love it. It's a little bit different than anything people normally request from us, so lots of arches, lots of detail in the cabinetry, lots of detail in the trim, so three-piece baseboards and just panels over the refrigerator doors, it's beautiful, and yes, you can see it from it's set back on 20 acres, and you can see it from 3 different streets if you're looking, so that's definitely one of our favorites, but we're working on another one now, not too far from us, and the interior living space is 7,500 square foot, and it's got an interior courtyard, so that is a really fun project too.
So right now, you're basically the brunt of what you do is custom. Are you still doing remodeling?
Yes, we do remodeling. We do big remodels though, so we'll do some additions, and I say that, but we do still do quite a few insurance claims too. Right now, I'm working on a house that some kids down the street crashed their four-wheeler into the house, and everybody was okay, but it did break all the studs in the 2x6 wall and the brick, so they hit hard, and that's kinda one of those insurance claims where they get a little tricky when there's 2 insurance companies involved because the homeowner down the street's paying for it, but we filed it on the homeowner that lives there, and so we have to take deductibles and then argue to get them back, and, in this case, it wasn't an argument, but so, yeah, we're finishing that one up this week. The insurance company sent a structural engineer out to make sure there was nothing in the roof or anything broken, so we pulled the wall down, we reframed it, put new sheetrock, flooring, painted the inside, and bricked the outside, so we do small stuff too, just depending on what it is.
So were you kind of giggling to yourself, thinking if this was a Clark custom home, that puppy would have just bounced off?
Yeah, but they hit hard. I think it might have done a little Clark Custom Home damage too.
Yeah.
So, I was just thankful everybody was okay because it coulda turned out different, but yeah, they hit it about 50 miles an hour.
Wow. How do you hit a house at 50 miles an hour? Like
It
the
Yeah,
kids?
yes. So,
Okay.
maybe 12 or 14-year-olds and just lost control.
Wow. Well, good thing that nobody was hurt, but they learned a good lesson about gravity, I guess.
They did. They did.
Yeah. Is there a favorite? Like, do you prefer custom versus the reno, or you're happy in the middle?
I'm happy in the middle. I like renovations for a whole nother reason. Most of those people stay in their house, so I get to see them every day, and there's a lot more interaction, and I don't have to wait as long for decisions because 'cause they're there. Custom home, sometimes we're working with somebody that lives in a totally different state. So those are a little bit scary when you're making decisions over FaceTime or their family that lives here is kinda helping them with decisions. So I like both of them.
What's the market like in Texas right now?
So real estate's slow right now. We have a lot of specs around us that have been sitting for a long time. And our target range is probably we start building houses in maybe the 650 range. And that'll get you quite a lot of house in Texas. But a lot of the spec homes are kind of the same old, same old. And we build a lot for people that just want something a little bit different. So
Has there been any one particular house that you've done that I'll say technically, architecturally, it's just pushed you guys right to the limits to try to make something that unique for the client?
sure. Most of the time that happens when we have designers involved, and designers will spec out something. Right now I'm trying to build a floating vanity that's got tile that's suspended off the floor about 16 inches. And this floating apparatus is probably 400 pounds. So it does take a little bit on my end to figure out how to make that happen, but I enjoy it. The designers just give us an idea. This is what we want it to look like. And of course, the picture on Pinterest, you can't take that apart and see what's underneath it. So we just have to kind of be creative and figure out how to reproduce it.
Go by that part again, the floating floor. I'm trying to grasp what you're talking about there.
So it's a floating vanity. Like, have you seen those in hotels where you can see the wall behind it? Like the bathroom vanity is just suspended.
Okay, no, but or
No? Okay. Well, I'll
yeah.
have to send you a picture of it. So it's basically a countertop with no cabinet underneath.
Okay, cool. So
Okay.
it's
So
mounted to the wall then.
it's mounted to the wall, correct.
Okay,
And so in this case, there is tile that is about an inch and a half thick, and it's probably 18 inches tall, and it's a fluted tile. And so those are going to be coming down off the front of the vanity, and you can literally crawl up underneath it if you wanted to. So you can
got it.
see all that.
Okay.
So this is a lot of weight, right? That's just suspended in midair. And it's gonna look badass, but I have to figure out how to, not make it fall.
How close are you to getting it done?
Very close, very close. We've already got all the mechanics worked out on it, so we've got the base, the structure built for it. So we'll be putting the tile on it next week.
Now, is that the kind of stuff you like that's
I
really
do.
pushing your imagination?
I
Yeah.
do because so always, always, always in construction, when you decide to do something, there's always probably 3 things that you're gonna have to overcome or that aren't gonna work right or they're gonna break in the process. So this had to be a collaboration with my framer, my tile guy, my countertop guy, not to mention there's wallpaper everywhere, so we have to do it in the proper order. So I do like getting everybody together and people have different ideas. The framer will say, "Yes, we need to do this." And the tile guy's saying, "Well, if you do this, how are we gonna do this?" So we have to come up with a third option that's gonna let us do both. And I love that.
Yeah, that pushes you to think and
It
get your
does.
imagination in high gear. Wow.
It does.
Looking back when you first got into this and you were saying how apprehensive you were and there were nights where you just didn't feel like, going, am I in the right place? How you feeling now?
I still have those every day. I still have that feeling at least once a day, like, I don't know what I'm doing. So, it's a roller coaster for sure. I mean, now I feel more confident because I don't hardly hit any situation that I don't at least have somebody that I can phone a friend, you know? So, I have a lot of, contacts and I have a lot of people I trust in this industry that'll send me in the right direction.
So how many years has it been now, Beth?
It has been going on 7.
Let's go back to what you just said that you've got people you can talk to. How important is it for you to have a network and what do you do to expand that network?
I don't know what I would do without my network. I would just be lost without him. Expanding it, now I get a little bit more choosy with who I let in my network. I mean, I've got my people that I know they know what they're doing. So I think I have to really try hard not to be and make sure I don't treat people the way I know I didn't like being treated when I got started. I'm actually seeing a lot of kids of like, their dads did tile, their dads were framers, and I'm seeing another generation that's coming up into the construction field. So I'm really careful to treat those guys how I would wanna be treated when I was getting started, and they know things, they know so there's a lot of things that are done in construction, and it's just because their granddad did it that way, and now there's a better way. There's better waterproofing systems for showers. There's better products out there, and so I think that I do really good getting guys that are kinda stuck in a rut of how they do stuff to try new things.
How do you bridge that gap then that based on your experience now, like, coming from where you were, you're in the truck crying to, I shouldn't be here." And now you're actually telling trades how to do their job. How do you what's the word I'm looking for? Politely cross that bridge that you're not going to create conflict, but they're actually willing to listen to you.
I Interestingly enough, I did do some mediator training a couple of years ago with NAR, the National Association for Realtors, and it taught me a lot about communication. These guys, they'll usually have an idea. I tell them all, number one, if you're going to come and bring me a problem that we have, if we have an issue on a job site, at least bring me a solution. Like, let's not talk about it until you've exhausted at least bring me a solution or 2 or 3 and let's pick one. People will generally come up with their own solution or they already have a thought about that if you just ask them. So I'm pretty big on getting input from several different people and let's all try to make the best decision we can because there's always more than one way to skin a cat in construction. And I think that sometimes men are quicker to just pick one and go on with it, and I dig in and I'm a little bit better of a fact finder, I think, and, kind of think it through to the end and think about what problems we're gonna solve versus create and, try to get it done right the first time. But there's been plenty of times where that didn't happen, and we tear it out and do it again, and we tear it out and do it again. I'm very big on explaining to people, "Let's not try that because the one time I did try that, the house fell down. So let's do it a different way." And I've kinda earned their respect enough to one key part of it is every single sub or every single project manager on my job sites know that if I line them out and tell them to do something a certain way and it doesn't work, I will take all the credit for that. I will take all the credit. So I take all the credit for the problems and I give them all the credit for the successes. And that seems to keep me, you know, earning their respect.
I'm not gonna let you get away with this. You said the house came down?
Well, not, I mean, damn
Okay.
near, damn
Yeah,
near.
alright.
Like, it's not good, you know?
I just had visions of you being like Charlie Brown, and there's this a pile of rubble behind you, and you're trying to think, "Maybe today's a good day to go home."
Yes, yes. And I
Yeah.
still have those days every day. I still have at least once a day where I'm going, how did I get myself into this?
Now, do you think that's typical, or is that just you?
I think it's typical if you care about what you're doing, I think it would happen with any career. I do.
Yeah. What's your philosophy? There's something you said there about getting it done versus having it done right. Where do you stand on that one?
So I want everything done right. So sometimes to do it right, especially in a remodel, the customer it's not in the budget. So I do everything as right as I can. And with construction, there's always, I mean, you can spend as much as you want on the best product out there, but getting it done versus getting it done right, I think if you take a step back and think it through, you can usually get it done right the first time.
Your official title is you're the project manager, you're the general manager. What are you exactly?
I'm the general manager, yes. So I
Okay.
am in charge of the project managers.
So when you hire on a new project manager, are you training them? Are you looking at their resumes? How do you do that part?
So there's always some training involved to some degree. Sometimes we have a project manager coming over from, let's say, like a production builder. So there's a lot of training involved there. They know how to build the house. They know how to build a house. They know all the terminology. They just maybe haven't done it on the custom side. Custom home building is a different animal than production. But, What I'm doing when I'm hiring is I'm checking our core values. I'm making sure they have integrity. I'm making sure they're a team player. I'm making sure they can think outside the box. I'm not necessarily hiring off of knowledge. I'm hiring off of give a shit.
I think this comes back to what we just said about getting it done right. If you're in that production mindset, then it is about it's like working at McDonald's. You're just churning out burgers. They don't have to be good. They just all have to look the same.
Correct.
Is that a toughie to take a project manager that's used to that idea of just getting it done versus getting it done the Clark way?
It is. It is. So, project managers for production companies, they're used to saying no all the time. I mean, you can't change the paint color. You can't change your baseboards. You can't change your countertops. You can't change your tile. We don't use trim around the tile, things like that, Sluter pieces. So they really have to get the word no out of their vocabulary because we say yes, we do it, you know? So that's the big thing. Another thing is production builders have acceptable tolerances that we don't have. Like, I think it's okay if a wall may be an inch and a half out of square. That's not okay for us. So we do have a higher standard, and that starts, day one pouring the concrete. So they do have to have at least some ability to think outside the box and see the future a little bit more than they probably had to in production building, but it's definitely doable.
When do you know it's time to hire another one? Are you hiring a project manager for each custom build that you're doing, or will one guy run and oversee a few? Like, what's the magic formula for you guys?
That totally depends on the homes. So, location, if they're far, obviously that project manager will have less houses that they're in charge of. I think a good number is maybe 3 houses for a project manager. If we need to hire, we can. We've got one right now that it's taken 3 of us together to do. There's so many moving parts to it. So we're custom in that aspect too. I mean, I may have a project manager that has 1 house, and I may have one that has 4, and just everywhere in between.
How many are you typically building on average per year?
Oh gosh, per year, I would say we build about 30.
Wow. So the $1 million question, they're all custom. Obviously, you've got a customer that's coming up, putting the money on the table, getting them done, versus the spec ones that are sitting, doing nothing. What is it that you think that you're doing right that the other builders are not doing right or doing wrong would probably be a better way to phrase it?
I think I mean, most builders that stay in business for any length of time, they do most of it right. I think our customers love our attention to detail and our hands-on approach with them. We do an electrical walk, so it's not always on the plans. Sometimes when you're sitting down with the architect, you don't always think about where your TVs are going. When you walk into a room, where do you want the switches to be? So we do an electrical walk with all of our customers, and we block for TVs in every room they need the TVs, and we put the plugs up high. We do a cabinet walk too. So a lot of your architectural drawings will just have, I mean, the architects have just stock photos that they're using, but we bring our cabinet maker out with the homeowner, and we walk it. Where do you want drawers? Where do you want doors? Do you want soft close hinges? Do you want glass in the uppers? Do you want them going all the way to the ceiling? Do you want crown molding? We bring every single little aspect of it to life on, a 3D rendering first so they can make sure they love it. And I think you do need women in the industry for that because I have talked to so many people. Most of the people that come to build a home with us, they've built some sort of house before. Maybe it wasn't custom, but they've at least had a production home that they have had built. So there's always those like 5 or 6 things I wish I would have done in my old home, and now we can make sure. So I think that women listen and they pay attention to details on Pinterest photos and how everything looks, and we can make it, I mean, I want them to walk in and say, "This is exactly what I had in my head."
Is there anything that you guys do as a company that when you look at another company, it's like, what are you guys thinking? Like it's almost like it's part of the culture of what you're doing that it makes you kind of sit back and say, well, how come everybody's not doing this. Anything in particular that stands out?
That we do differently?
Yeah.
I think one thing that we do well is make sure when we have our first sit down with that client, we have seen enough sets of plans and walk through the finished house that I can talk to them about closet sizes and pantry sizes and things like that that maybe you don't realize are huge or small or whatever when it starts coming to life. And if there's any question I have, if I'm talking to someone and the only thing they can talk about is their butler pantry. Well, during the framing stage, when we start popping lines on the concrete, we're gonna come out and we're gonna make sure that this is big enough, that this is the what you had in your head. And I think that does set us apart, and I don't know why, but I do have a lot of customers tell me, I built a house before and they never asked me where I wanted the plugs and switches. They never asked me how I wanted my cabinets to look. You know, they never asked me what color the exterior of my windows were going to be, which is a whole nother thing. I mean, a lot of your exterior windows are white or black. White, there's like 42 different colors of white, Sherwin-Williams. So are you wanting a white that's in the gray family or you want one that's in the beige family? And let's make your windows look good because if it's not, those colors look yellow together or maybe even blue or green. So really trying to see in the future for them and help them not make mistakes that I can see coming.
So this is that occasion where a woman's eye comes into play.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What are you doing to actually generate your leads right now?
So we do our own, like our marketing, we're in all of our marketing, number one. So we try to be informative. We try to be funny. We try to, you know, get out there what people want to hear and what really sets us apart from our competition. So we have some different lead generation methods, mainly social media, but we call everybody on the phone. We're very personal in our sales process. So, you know, we don't have any of the AI generated sales techniques that other companies use. So, we have a little intake form on our website. Generally, we would like to know, you know, if you already have land. If you don't, that is not a problem. We can help them find it. Do you already have plans drawn up? Again, no deal breaker there because we have several architects that we work with. And depending on the type of home that somebody's wanting to build, we will help them get in touch with the right architect that'll make that come true. We also ask them about their financing. I mean, are they we work hand in hand with a lot of lenders. So, construction loans are their own creature. There's one-time closed construction loans which kind of lets you lock in an interest rate, and if it goes up, it doesn't affect you. If it goes down, you get benefit with that. But there's draw schedules where with a construction loan, so at certain points in the construction, we create a draw for the bank. So most of our clients have different lenders and we work really closely with them, but we have people that we can refer you to also. So one thing we talk about really soon in the process is the budget because we can work with most any budget. We just try to make sure that those expectations are there, right? So I don't want to get months deep into something for someone to realize they can't afford it or it's more than they wanted to spend. So we're real hands on with that up front.
There's a mirror to that, avoiding that hardship with some builders, custom builders. When the money's in their account, they think it's theirs. And they forget that they have to put that money aside for that particular project. How do you guys safeguard yourselves from making that mistake? Because that's a classic.
So it is a classic and that is very easy thing to get you out of control on. We have a very strict budget with each home that we build. And so our budget probably has 50 line items in it. We have that budget live and online 100% of the time for the client. The client can see how much money that we've either drawn from the bank or that they have given us versus what has gone out. So we're very transparent. That's the number one way is to stay transparent with everybody involved. The second thing is there's probably about 8 line items out of those that are the customer's budget to do what they want with. So one of those is appliances. I mean, appliances can cost 5,000 or they can cost 50,000. When we get started, it may be really early for somebody in the process to start thinking about appliances, but it's in the whole budget, right? So we don't want to get to the end and you not be able to afford the refrigerator that you want, the sub-zero fridge that you want. So we talk about all that really early on, and I even think sometimes we lose customers because they feel like we're too high, but I just feel like we're transparent and honest from the get-go.
Too high in terms of your bid price or too
Yeah,
high
too
in
high in terms of our bid price, but when we do set our bid, we work really hard throughout the project to stay within that budget. Each job that we do has its own accounting piece of our software. So one job's money is never being pulled in with another job's money.
So getting back to the AI thing, is there any particular softwares that you're using in your business that you like swear by? This is the best thing that we could have invested in.
So we use Builder Trend. So we have kind of a love-hate relationship, but for the accounting process of it and the schedule, love the schedule. So from day one, when we have a permit in hand, we have a live schedule that the customer can see what our end date is on their house. That might move a little bit, rain delays, or we might get a little bit faster in some areas than we thought we were. So that's forever changing. And so the customer can log in at any time, see their money, see what's coming in, going out, and see what we've done, what's coming up next week, and what the end date is. We also do a mandatory for all of my project managers. We do a Friday at 5 update. So the client is informed on Friday afternoon at 5 o'clock at the latest of what has gone on for that week and what we've got coming up for the next week. We also do our billing very hands-on as well. So the customers always know, right, what is coming up in the pipeline that they're gonna need to pay for if they're paying cash or what is coming up that we're fixing to draw the bank for.
So part of that communication, are you actually showing them, like, are you using pictures and video clips so they can see how the process is evolving?
Absolutely. We do daily updates in Builder Trends so they can see photos. Some of our clients either live on the property we're building on, maybe they live next door and they're building a new home, but if they don't, some of them live out of state. So we do as as daily of an update as we can. So if we have anything going on at the house, there's pictures and video. We do a lot of walkthroughs so we can kind of show them while we're talking what's going on. We do a lot of FaceTime with them if they can't be there. So, yes, we have daily updates. We have our weekly update for the big picture, right? For the rundown. And we stay completely on track. I think that absolutely sets us apart, though. We are very hands on with our customers.
Well, that eliminates any confusion, arguments, because as long as they're informed and they see how the process is unfolding, they can't say, "Well, you didn't tell us, XYZ." It's like you're mitigating problems before they even happen.
You are. And sometimes, when you get started building a house, maybe you say, I don't need that. That's not really important to me. One of the biggies is insulating the attic space above your garage. Most people, when we get started, they're like, I don't think I need that. But whenever, they start thinking about how much time they might spend in their garage, that's something that we always, always double check with. Hey, we're doing insulation next week. Now's the time to do your garage if you want to. I know we talked about not doing it before, but now's the time. A lot of times they do. Putting some extra decking up in the attic.
Mhm.
We always have that conversation when it's time. It's way easier now than, trust me, when you're trying to get it up that little, ladder at the end. So,
Yeah, nobody
um,
likes change orders. Yeah.
no, and nobody likes change orders, but we always, even if somebody thinks something's not very important when we get started, things change. So we always give
Yeah.
them that option.
Actually, I shouldn't generalize and say nobody likes them because there are certain builders that have incorporated into the mix and they're making money from the change orders, right? So they've been able to, yeah, somehow massage it in. So, yeah, anyway,
Yeah,
that's a
and I
different
mean,
story.
there's a time and a place for a change order, right? I mean, sometimes we are getting through the process and we start framing the house and somebody says, I didn't think of it before, but I think I do want a generator now. So we can do a change order if we do a lot of generators, we do a lot of storm shelters inside the home too. So when we pour the foundation, we'll have the storm shelter put into place and then we frame around it. So my goal is always to get completely through a build without having to do one single change order. That's the goal because I feel like when that happens, we have addressed and discussed everything up front. Our expectations are set and we can meet them. My goal is always to come in under budget because it's just everybody's happy. So,
Yeah.
and you can only do that with, of course, not making mistakes, staying on top of it, paying attention to detail, and going over all those details up front.
Yeah, it's such a big, hairy, complicated thing you're doing, but there's so many moving pieces. And from the client's perspective, it's pretty easy to, oh, we thought this was gonna be bigger or that's gonna be smaller. And the fact that you're keeping in touch, you're sending them pictures, videos, I know that mitigates a lot of it, but there's always gonna be that instance where, oh man, if only we had done, XYZ, and that's where the change order comes in. Let me go back a step here. When you talked about bringing in labor and you've got like, father son type thing, how hard is it for you guys to get labor right now?
Most of our labor has worked for us for a very long time. And I always tell my homeowners, I don't let anybody work on your house that I wouldn't trust in my house when I'm not home. And I mean that. I have to trust them to work on my project, right? So I take it seriously. I'm a steward, right, of the client's money and time, right? And I take that very seriously. And I try to be a good steward. And so I love our subs. I know their kids, I know their wives. We go to birthday parties on the weekends. So I take it very seriously. And no, it's not hard to find labor. Now, that is one thing. It's hard to hire somebody when you don't fully know. It's hard to hire somebody and use them for the first time. I don't like doing that. That's where your trade partners come into place. That's where sometimes if I need a contractor for something I've never done before, I rely on my network to steer me in the right direction. The subs that we use aren't, everybody laughs at me, but they're not in the phone book. They don't have a beautiful website that you can Google them and find them. They don't advertise that way. They work for builders and they work, on referral. So you have to have the right partners to know how to get those referrals.
What are you doing to stay sharp and stay on top of the game? Because there's so much new technology that's coming into the mix. Houses are going to be built differently. I mean, as a matter of fact, they're being built differently now. How do you guys stay on top of it so you don't become one of those contractors that you look at and say, yeah, it's the way it used to be done? We don't do that anymore.
You're a great resource for stuff like that. You're constantly getting to know the new ideas out there and you're constantly making those network connections for us, which are great. So that's one thing. We go to as many trade show exhibit shows as we can. We listen to stuff online all the time. We watch probably more TikTok and Facebook reels than the average person does, and then we dive in and take a hard look because the worst thing you can do as construction is get stuck in your ways about something. There's always a better way. There's always a new idea. And sometimes we get to help make up those ideas, right? So just recently we did a little renovation to our showroom at our office. We took a metal building that we had in the back that we used for storage and we turned it into a showroom. So we've got all of our tile selections and paint colors and cabinet tops and cabinets and doors and windows. We made a little doggy shower in there. It's a big thing, right? Need to wash your dog. And so we do a lot of doggy showers in laundry rooms. It's one of the hard things to do at the front of the build is to pick out your tile, but it kind of helps us stay on time track, stay on budget if we can order that stuff at the beginning. So we have our little shower built where we can set up all the tile selections and make choices. But when we built that shower, we asked some of the representatives from Sluter to come out and do a demonstration for our tile guys, right, of their new products. I'm always wanting to see what the waterproofing methods are. They're coming out with new stuff all the time. So I use every opportunity I can as a training experience for whoever can come. So we do things like that a lot. Sometimes I have to call in 2 or 3 different tile guys on a job because I know this guy can do this part of it. I know that guy can do this part of it, and let's get together and work. One of the craziest things about men on a construction site is I cannot tell you how many times I've had a painter call me and say, "Hey, I'm almost done painting the outside of this house. When's your trim guy going to be done?" And I'm okay. I'll call you back. Hang up the phone because my trim guy's supposed to be there finishing up right now. So I get my trim guy on the phone. "Hey, what are you doing?" "I'm finishing up the trim. I'm almost done." I'm like, "You're there at the house?" He's like, "Yes." I'm like, "Is the painter there?" He's like, "Yeah, he's outside." Okay. So I call the painter back. Walk in the house and ask him. You guys are there. That's one thing that would never happen if you had a bunch of women in the same house. We're fixing to be friends on Facebook. We're following each other's social. We know what kids are where. We know who's married. These guys just work all day and never say hi to each other. So I do make it a big point. I have my guys show up at the same time in the morning and make sure we all know each other. And it helps, right? Because when one trade stops and another trade starts. So you have your guy that comes in and he finishes his sheetrock, tape and bed texture, and we're ready for the painter. The more times that the painter and that guy are friends, they kind of leave the project ready for the next guy a little bit better, right? So I've worked really hard to get all of our subs friends. And if they need something, they call each other and they get it done. And it makes a lot less of this whole gray area of, you know, who stops where and who starts where.
I feel, Beth, that we've taken this relationship to a whole different level because I feel like a girlfriend now that we can bitch about men.
We can. I'm always there for you to bitch about men. No, I
Yeah.
mean, construction, there's no way that women can do some of the physical tasks that men can do out there in the day to day. But we can usually multitask a little bit better than y'all can. Y'all are wired to get up and kill what you eat every morning and go get it done. And we kind of can look at the bigger picture and see all the pretty stuff.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of if you take competition out of the mix and realize we're not competing against one another, the goal is to get the job done.
Yes.
And then once that's gone and everybody focuses on what their strengths are, then it's amazing what the outcome's going to be.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I always tell my guys, I will never, ever, ever get upset with you for making a mistake, but if you run into something and you don't know how to solve the problem, we have a network of people that can help with that. So, the more times that they all work together, I mean, the tile guy just maybe used to going ahead and installing the tile and knowing that the sheetrock guys can come float the wall a little bit. But if we all talk together, we can make it happen faster and easier. And so I think that's one thing that sets us apart is that we're kind of one big family, and our subs are too. We're all on the same team trying to get the house built.
That's a good way to close this off. Let's look at this as a family, and you're the mother, and you've got the neighbor's girl has come over to say hi, and she's asking, should I look at having a job in construction? What do you say now with your 7 years of experience, the good, the bad, the ugly? What do you recommend?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think we need more women in construction. I think that I mean, I've done punch walks on houses that men have been the project manager on versus houses that women have been the project manager on, and there's a big difference. We need women that are, paying attention to detail, that are smart, that are there to have fun. I mean, where else do you get to go work all day every day with no HR department? Nowhere. So, you're gonna have the most fun you've ever had in your whole life. I tell them, "Absolutely, do it. Do it."
Yeah, good stuff. Beth, anything that we missed? Anything that you want to touch on that we didn't talk about?
I don't think so. What about you?
No, I think we've cut a wide hole on this one. I think I can't think of it. I guess one more question. What do you do? We've talked about there's days when you wish you had your easy bake oven. You were just making cakes instead of working in construction. But what does Beth do to recharge, to step away so you can recharge and then come back stronger than before? Is there anything that you do? Run away,
Yeah,
vacation?
uh,
What is it?
just to back up a bit, I usually say that I only have a kitchen because it came with my house. I've done a couple of, Facebook videos about other ideas for kitchens. You can go watch them, maybe putting in a pool table or a hot tub instead of the oven. Because in my house, doesn't get used. So for fun, I just got my car out of the shop. I have a 1981 Z28 that I just picked up yesterday, and I've only driven it once to Bucky so far, but I'm planning on doing that all weekend, is blowing the soot out of that engine, as my dad would say. I have a 1980 model K20 that is my daily driver, and in the spare time that we get, I love to go to the mud park. We go on our take our side by side and just get muddy and ride trails all weekend. So,
That's cool.
that's what I do for fun.
So I'm going to make a note here. Send Beth an easy bake oven. Okay.
I did always want one as a kid, and I got an IOU one Christmas for one, and it never came, so I would like that.
Oh, wow. Beth, hey, thanks for taking time. Oh, well, one more question. The Z28 stick or automatic?
No, it's automatic. My truck's a stick. The Z28's an automatic, though, and you can scratch the tires in second gear. I haven't tried third yet, but it's pretty fast.
I'll be waiting to hear the chirping of the tires and smell that rubber burning on the pavement.
Yes.
Beth,
Yes,
thanks
you
for taking
can.
time out today. And I look forward to connecting in real life, and say hi to Cody for me.
I will, Michael. Thank you so much. We'll see you
You
in
take
person
care.
soon.
Thanks for listening to Builder Straight Talk. Make sure to like, comment, and share this episode on your favorite social media platform. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, available wherever you get your podcast streaming fix. Until next time, keep building smarter. This episode is made possible by our parent company, Sound Capital, funding built for builders.